Well, we should also switch at some point.
Yeah, whenever.
Yeah, it like randomly sort of appeared once we shot the machine gun thing. Oh, this is horrible. This city bombardment. All these poor civilians.
Not again.
Oh.
You just had like a socket.
Damn it.
Oh my god.
That's mine. Okay, now. Nope.
No.
I like the little dance you did. You were
Do a little dance.
you were square dancing.
Do a little dance. Dodge a little bombs. Get down tonight.
Which city did they say it was?
Right.
Ah.
Keep
You know,
running.
I kind
Keep
of
going.
like
Oh,
this.
this is with the cathedral.
Easy.
Keep going.
Not even close,
Not
baby.
even close. Not even close.
This is with the cathedral of Reims.
Oh, wow.
That's so
Wow.
beautiful.
Wow.
It is a beautiful cathedral for realsies as well.
Yeah.
I've been there. It's nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really nice.
Oh. Get this. Push this to the cathedral? No.
Yeah, push it, man.
You need to
Push it.
to the cathedral,
I'm not
dude.
gonna push this to the cathedral.
Yeah, you should.
Yeah.
He's pushing it.
He's pushing it. Why
Help
are
him
you
out.
not?
Man, help the fucker
I cannot
out.
push it.
What do you mean you can't? Yes, you can. It's blinking.
Yes, we can.
You might need something to
I need
push it.
more.
You
Yeah,
need more
you need.
people. Talk
I
to
need
the-
more
talk to
people.
the-
Yeah.
Yeah. Dudes, we need to push it. Yeah. Oh, my kids. Oh, my husband.
Help the husband so he can push as
Pull
well.
the thing out with the dog.
The thing, it's a guy. Come
The
on.
human.
But he's holding a lever.
No.
No.
Dude,
don't.
why would you? This guy survived mustard gas.
And he
And
died.
he dies with a bit of smoke. Oh, well, I guess. You know.
They love their children.
So we have new stuff. We have new diaries.
See?
That I speak to know.
Except fire to the cathedral.
Yeah.
Oh, the statue of Jean d'Arc. See? Women, children, and elderly were employed. Took on traditional male jobs, etc.
I knew that. I knew that.
This is where the whole emancipation
But I
movement started.
didn't know that the.
Of course, it makes complete sense. There's a child back there crying in the
Where?
back there in the hole.
Yeah, but they cannot touch each other.
Can you go into the house?
Yeah.
The other way. The child is
So
like
it's the other way, but they
superstar.
can go. Yeah.
Pull it, drag it, move it.
Keep bumping harder.
See, now she's free to go.
Yeah.
See, you've saved one. And then when the people are not complaining about their children, perhaps they can move the thing.
But they're not complaining about the children. Those lazy bastards. Come on, move the thing. We gotta protect some heritage here.
Yeah, he died.
Now I think I need
I need to go up and jump on it or something.
to go there.
Yes, do it.
There's a
No, I'm
row.
gonna die.
Do it.
There's a row.
Kill him.
There's a row.
Then I have something to later or something. Come on, you can get down there.
But,
There's something.
ooh, loot. Ooh, goggles of some sort.
There's a gas mask.
Oh, yeah, then you can get into the smoke.
Yeah, but I cannot use this stuff.
It's just a thing.
Yeah, well, that's useful.
Yeah, but we came from here.
But you need to do something with this thing.
Let's go into the door.
Yeah, we need to get the dog up there somehow.
Yeah.
But the dog can go.
But you can't climb the ladder.
Just press X.
If I press 6, the dog cannot go.
No. You need to jump on it or something.
Yeah, maybe it will fall down if I jump on it.
That's what I said. Just go.
I have learned multitasking.
Oh man.
Yeah. Yeah, he's smart, he's not going.
He's not going?
No.
Okay. Okay, so we need to find something else?
Yeah.
What if you go down and help the child out of the stupid rubble?
Oh, you didn't do that before.
No. he's
You weren't
good.
like, oh, there's a child in the
That's
rubble,
like-
let's save him.
No man, this guy's an archaeologist.
Alright.
There's a cathedral that's nearly on
See,
fire.
wire cutters. You can cut the rope.
Yeah. Yeah, but now we don't have
Yeah,
the...
well, we'll have to come back for it.
That's the nature of adventure games, man. You lose some, you get some.
Oh, there we go.
See, you've saved someone's
Saved someone.
husband.
I'm saving.
Can you go more to the right? You can't, right?
But it seems
Yeah, it
that
looked
somehow
like
I
that.
could get... Wait.
Okay, so what if you cross?
No,
you
no.
can't. The dog can though.
Yeah, but there's something going down. Come on, dog. Yeah, what did you get? You get a work, that's not a certificate.
Huh.
Wow.
That's super nice. I mean, horrible but nice. Okay, come back up.
Let's get the,
Pick up the thing. It seems like a shame that you can't go further to help that child. Oh, help him dig. Maybe he needs to dig there.
in the house.
Like in the rubble there. He was barking at the rubble. Here.
Wait, because of fire? I think we have to
Okay, so there are some people out here who are
yeah, but we're
yeah,
still...
now help them to move the thing, yeah. Okay, talk to other people. But see, the child is still there.
You only have
Yeah,
one
so
left there.
this guy will help us. So how many we left?
We
You need a lot more.
What about the crying woman in
You
the
need
camp?
3 more, you see?
Oh,
You
the
need the guy
guy
that's
needs...
upstairs.
The guy needs dynamite, yeah.
SOS.
It's not a dynamite, it's a hand.
Whatever. The
Oh,
thing.
pants?
We got...
That's useful.
There you go.
Huh?
There you go.
Huh?
Huh?
Yeah, all of you sneering at
You know?
women's emancipation.
That was way before Gamergate.
Yeah.
Triggered.
Go up. Up. Up.
Go up.
The stairs.
Yeah, but that's where I came from. Oh no.
That's not.
Up you go.
You go further to the right. You found the pants now. You need to do something with the.
The thing.
Play.
Ah, yes. Put it all the way down. Maybe leave the dog there. All the way down. Can the dog do that? You probably can't, can you? Oh, you
Go
can
down.
send the dog there to stand on it.
Go down.
No,
You need to send it. You need
Go,
to
go down yourself.
to send the thing down, the little elevator thing, send it all the way down, all the way, all the way. Then you walk around downstairs with the dog, you put the dog on,
Alright.
You give the handle to
you
the
give
dog.
the handle to the dog. First give the handle to the dog.
I got seen that walking you through it.
Yes, mom.
Give the handle to the dog.
Oh!
No, Aris, you cannot keep the handle yourself. You have to give it to the dog now. Come on.
Yes.
Yes, yes.
It's the cleverest dog I've ever seen.
Well, you haven't seen my dog yet.
He's quite
That's
smart.
true.
Wonder what's in that cabinet.
Yeah, go check out the cabinet.
Can the dog check out the cat?
Yeah, it seems like one of those typical adventure
you
game
can,
things
though.
where you have to check out. Probably the kids are having it there.
Kids? Maybe some memorabilia.
So what if a corpse falls out?
Nothing?
Of course.
Nothing? Oh, what was that?
Shit, a razor.
You hear the disappointment in her voice. It's just like if you're excavating a test unit and there's nothing in there. Like, nothing? Nothing?
I've been excavating that all day.
You need to leave the dog.
Yeah.
And then up. Good job, dog.
Now all the way down. Like,
Yvonne.
hey, dog.
So, come to me, dog.
Dog is not coming.
Okay. You mean it's not coming.
There he is.
Here he is. Ah, he
Just
just like
appeared.
blinked.
Okay, now
Now
we
you
get more men.
teleport.
You still need more.
Yeah, that's
See,
the
you
guy.
got the thing.
I think now we're fine.
No, you still need.
Now we're fine.
Oh, because it's only men who can push the thing. Oh, look at they're crying about their children.
Oh, there we go.
Triggered!
Very good.
Triggered! Sorry, those women, they were just there, you know, worrying over their kids.
And wearing overalls.
Yeah, that's Jeanne d'Arc. Did she already lose her hand there?
Uh-oh.
Oh,
Uh-oh.
the dog is running, so I think I would.
You need to run.
Yeah, I would not stand there and watch start the dog runs.
It's amazing that it was even still standing with all those bombardments.
Clearly we need to fix the organ because that's the prime military strategic importance.
No, it's.
A boss battle.
We have to play music.
Play that fucking music, white boy.
Okay, throw it here. Throw it here. There you go. Oh yeah.
No, you push it
The other
to the
one.
side. To
Yeah.
the side. First up.
And
The dog, of
the
course,
dog
the
can
dog
play
needs
too.
to
The
play.
dog needs to play. The dog needs to
Yes.
So much for our first boss fight. Was that it?
Uh-oh.
The dog needs to play.
And then you.
In the face. In the face.
Yes.
This is awesome.
This is some genuine
Uh-oh.
comic potential.
Blow him up,
Uh-oh.
and then the yes, right. And then the left one. Yeah, exactly.
Nice one.
Come on, how many grenades can he?
Oh, watch Max.
Yeah, I'm shoot that one.
He escapes. I thought zeppelins were pretty, flammable. To say the least.
This is like the titanium zeppelin.
Yeah. Oh wow, another boss fight.
It's still the same boss.
Okay, after this we should switch.
Yeah. I need.
But this might be it.
I don't think I should.
I don't know.
What's the
No, I think there's many more. I think there's at least like 3
Yeah,
or 4
because
cars.
we haven't even had the zone battle of the zone.
I didn't.
Pick up the grenade on the
Yeah,
floor.
yeah, right.
There's a couple of duds.
You don't have it. Yeah.
I think
You
it's
need to
okay.
throw
Okay,
a-
it's okay.
So, yeah, you guys.
Oh, yeah, that's.
It was like a one shot.
Pick it up. Pick it up, pick it up. No, to the right. There. It's
Frustration face. Oh no.
Why did you throw the names that exploded?
Very good. Very good. Yep. Grab it.
One.
Now.
Now there's another one, and then we're done.
You know,
Throwing
don't
grenades like
die.
crazy. No, I'm not gonna die. Don't worry. Yes. No, but it's this guy in there. I don't want to shoot him down.
Yeah, but you know.
Don't die.
This is awesome. In pursuit.
Because we need to save the scientist here, mother, no?
Yeah.
And then so we have to save two out of the guys.
So now what?
Wow, no, this was the first chapter, I guess. It's all
Yeah.
fire and death now. Yeah, chapter 2.
Oh well, that's also a good breaking off point probably.
Yeah.
So let's just do a sum up. 9 months earlier now.
Anna
So
was
apparently
trained
we
to
read
be the veterinarian.
Anna's.
The German
It was this was only the first
from
chapter.
Paris when she received a
What?
letter from her father. He was in good health, but implored her
God.
not to return home to Belgium until the war's end.
This is a nice
Patience,
house.
however, was not one of Anna's strong
What the
suits.
heck? Did a pigeon just...
Stealing.
Yeah.
We need to fly the pigeon or something.
Like, can you play?
No.
Shall we set up the camera so that we can actually see a bit more of?
Plus. Yeah.
Yeah, but then we're closer to the TV.
No, we
Yeah,
just
but
need
then
to.
we just put the sound up because in the end now it's gonna be us talking anyway, right?
Oh, we're stopping again?
Yeah,
We can
yeah.
do
Let's
a break.
just
First
have
chapter
like a
is done.
natural break.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Let's pause this. Put up some historical facts. We can do it.
Let's give our viewers
You
some
can also
historical
just do
facts.
like a background image, you know?
No, it should be alright.
Yeah, but now there it's
What?
we can still hear the noise of the game.
But just
You can turn off the...
Turn off the TV.
sound.
TV volume.
Okay.
How the hell does...
Is there? Yeah, perfect. So what did we learn from this one chapter that we played?
Okay, I'm gonna need to move in a bit.
The dogs were very important. Well, no, but I mean, they had 15,000 dogs. I mean, that's quite a lot, actually.
Not on the millions and millions of people that were actually fighting
Of
here.
course, but still.
Actually, if we're zooming in on the dog right away, I don't like that at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like as like a small part of the game, of course, you want to highlight, but the dog is really put in there because of the cuteness factor.
Yeah.
I mean, if you
For
It's
a
like the
narrative
fox in
kind of-
yeah, but not even narrative. It's just it's just cute to be running around.
But
with a
it's
dog.
like a helper with these puzzles that you have to figure out. How you have these
Just
two
like the fox in
characters.
Never Alone.
Yeah, and how these
Yeah.
two characters have different, basically abilities and capabilities. Like the dog, because he was German, can walk around and be sort of unseen and get into small
Yeah.
spaces and.
Yeah, it's very useful in the gameplay, but I don't know about how much it fits the whole narrative.
That's
Depends on how many letters I suppose they read which refer to dogs.
Yeah, but I think even then the dogs had like some function, but probably not the same importance.
Not
as
as
their
getting
eyes.
switches and
Well, it's kind of
obviously, but
it's kind of the gimmick, like maybe.
well, that's what I think.
they picked it up somewhere in the historical facts, and they thought, this might be a fun factor in
That's
gaming.
all Call of Duty dog, and they thought we have to do this too.
Well, we saw one of the videos from the developers, in which one of the developers says, "Oh, we saw this photograph with the dog, and that's how the
Which is
idea
the one
came
we saw.
about."
Yeah, I guess it's nice for especially people nowadays to relate to it, especially people that are dog owners or like dogs. It's a nice way to step into it, but it feels kind of cheap to me.
Yeah, you think?
Yeah, to me. Yeah,
But it's still a way to make a great game.
It's a nice gameplay factor that I agree on, but I mean, foregrounding it, basically the dog is doing a lot of the heavy lifting there, right?
Yeah.
What do we think in general about the way that they built the game around these sort of characters that have their own backstories and have their own identities? And, like, it's a very personalized game in that sense, rather than a Call of Duty or something else in which
I think that's very well done. I mean, everybody can relate to all the family structure and the stuff that's going on.
I think that also feeds directly into the one question we got from our audience. Evil Smoochie asked if we could discuss a little bit on I will just read out his order discussion point. Alright. The problem of condensing a complicated history with years of historiography into a presentable and understandable narrative for an audience, while at the same time trying not to dilute the story too much. In other words, how can video games, like Valiant Hearts, present history adequately without losing its audience? I think in that sense,
It's a delicate balance, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a delicate balance.
but focusing on characters is, I think, one of the ways that you can make it really human. I mean,
Identification with the characters.
yeah, I mean, I don't know if any of you have played Verdun, you know, that first-person
I haven't played it.
trench shooter.
I know that it exists. But
I mean, that is about as dehumanizing as you can get in terms of you're not a character, just basically you see people running around. It's a multiplayer game, but
oh yeah, you do the beach landing.
no, it's not the beach landing.
No, that's not
it's one of the-
That's another war.
Obviously not the beach landing.
No,
that's
that's
another
another
war.
war.
That's the second World War.
Yeah.
But I have a question on that. So if what do you think that if it's very well done and how it focuses on backstories and the individual experience, so you can very easily relate to the individual experience, but is it possible that it's actually too much in and then it backlashes, kind of zooming way too much inside the personal experience and losing the focus out of the world? Because the personal experience might be here, it's becoming tragic and apparently become even more tragic.
Spoilers.
Going forward, I don't know. I haven't played the game yet.
Of course, you know.
I mean, I'm just saying. But yeah, it's could it justify some aspects of the war? based
Don't those
on
diaries
personal-
and pictures and stuff make up for that? Don't they balance that out? You have to read
I
it
think
though.
so.
I think if you don't
Yeah.
read any of the diaries, you don't read any of the text,
No, that is going to be a
pictures,
board game.
anything,
No.
then it detaches you from the whole World War I experience and the identification with the characters and everything. But if you read everything and you read about how terrible it was,
Yeah.
all that happened, I think
I think that's the only thing that really relates it sort of to the war. 'Cause
Bring
if
the
you-
microphone a bit to the front because the sound of the game is still on. So
Oh,
in
it's still on there.
They can hear the.
yeah.
Okay. Because I think one of the problems is that
You can switch
especially-
the microphone up instead of the volume of the microphone up. Maybe that's better.
no, so you can just
We can just
drag
move
it
it a bit
closer.
forward.
Yeah, but then,
But then you lose us.
then we're not in the.
It's okay. I can. Yeah, let's put back here.
All right.
Because my point is that, I mean, this is a war that takes place over such an extremely long time span, and
It's not loaded.
parts of it that
Go any
happen
further?
are so slow and boring.
There's no
that
sound.
You can't really
Play. So
It's on the game. I have muted the.
TV is muted.
I didn't mute the DD.
I see. I see.
Yeah. Anyway, I don't know. I guess you can't really capture that sort of idea of the loss of time and the boringness of being in the trenches, because the game ultimately will still be quite active. You know, you have to do things and there's time pressure. But if you ever read about soldiers' letters, really, a lot of it is, this is so boring. We've been in the same place for a year, and you know, there's so little to do. I mean, there's like heightened points of action that are intense and horrible, and a lot of people die. And in between, there's like time spans of nothing. Because isn't it the First World War also where they had that sort of Christmas?
Yeah.
Playing football
That's a
across the
famous
trenches.
1917 Christmas.
Yep.
Yeah.
As long as you don't come here, so you can be on the.
Alright. Scoot over.
Hold on, take this one. No, I'm good.
What are you gonna do?
Woo!
Oh yeah, we can sort of all fit. Yeah, sort of all fit. Yeah. Yeah, one of the things, of course, that's very interesting is the style that they've chosen for this game as well, which is
The comic book style.
Comic book style, which I think works very well on one hand. On the other hand, it is not brutal at all. Right? You have to really.
No, I mean, if you look at these bombs, it's like comical the way they explode.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not gruesome.
And I wonder because I mean I'm not a big comic buff, but I do know, especially in France, there's lots of more realistic types of comic books.
Yeah.
They could have come with a more of a style like that, and still keep it comic book style, but make it much more realistic.
Yeah,
in that
very
sense.
nice.
And now that's what I.
I don't know if you want a graphic, and not as in graphics, but a graphic with blood and whatnot, because of that style. Because I think this style is better suited for non-violent gaming, what this game actually should be. I don't think it should be gory.
I don't think
gory
you should
and
necessarily
shit.
go for graphic right away, but
Style where you can sort of show more impact. Or
yeah, more grim, right? It doesn't have to be graphic, grim. I
Because
think
this
that's-
ends up being quite cartoonish, you mean?
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah, but then the sad moments tend to be more like punching.
Shocking. Yeah. That's
Sure.
Because I've read also about the game that it gets like further on, it gets more, you know, sad and depressing sort of, which I guess we haven't reached to yet. I don't know. Is this a good way to, you know, talk about history to sort of?
I think in comparison to Never Alone, for instance, so far, the whole historical facts and diaries are a bit more annoying than what it was in Never Alone.
Because
Because
Never Alone, those were movies, right?
There were videos.
Yeah, but
Videos.
there were also some texts, but it relayed much more to the gameplay,
Yeah.
and it also like now we might get 6 or 5 facts at the same time.
Yeah.
And someone might just, you know, they are small, they're like 5 or 6
Do you think
lines.
it's too much?
This is
The
so
review
much
that I
facts.
read,
Yeah.
the review that I read or watched from IGN, I watched a review from them, and they also said that the text and the videos, the pictures and stuff is how shall I put it, intrusive to the gameplay.
Yeah.
It is.
This
It
excerpt-
just pops up all of a sudden between the action, and there's like a lot to read. There's 5 or 6
Yeah.
pieces of text, and
Yeah.
then you have to get back into that plane.
But that's
with it.
actually the opposite of what the developers want to achieve. What
Yeah.
they achieve with this.
Because I think to some extent they try to link it to what's happening. You know, like we see the first artillery fire and then they talk about that.
Yeah, and the mustard gas and stuff.
But
you
a
know.
lot of times, because they don't just do like one video in which they talk about that, they give you 6 facts that unlock all at the same time.
What I do really like is the objects that you can find. Of course, I'm an archaeologist, so I like finding that sort of stuff. But that is really nice because that does sort of fit in with what you're actually doing, right?
And it's detailed too, like with the lace tightener and stuff. You know?
Yeah,
Those are tiny little details
I
that
mean,
you
in
have
that
no
sense,
idea.
in that sense, what's presented here in those facts is history, right? The historical events, the big things.
Yeah.
And those objects, that's where it really becomes personal. I kind of like that.
But it's not that overwhelming, I guess. But you know, you have to keep track of your items, which you can read, and you can keep track of your facts, which you can also read. They are not intrusive, which is good. Like they do not pop whenever. You got some facts. If you want, you can read them. If not, then you can also.
How was it in Never Alone? What were they called? Were they called like stories or chapters or I can't remember.
I can't remember the
Lore,
name.
wasn't it lore? or something like that.
You could find the owl, I think, right?
I think it was the
Was it-
owl.
yeah,
and
it was
then
the owl.
It unlocked something, but it was always only
Yeah.
one thing at a time.
No, sometimes there were two. They're like two videos.
The chat room is chipping in as well. Saltasar says that he or she, I don't know, he or she dislikes that the diary fragments and backstories are almost entirely contained in an archive and labeled under facts. It still separates out the informing factors from the experience itself. It's something that almost all archaeological or historical games seem to suffer from. It's kind of the Assassin's Creed approach, right?
Yeah.
Where you run into a new building and it just pops up on your screen. You're actually playing. You don't really want to read it.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
there's actually cool information.
Would it be better if it were narrated?
That's
Maybe, yeah.
that's kind of a Bastion-like game, I guess. Sometimes you can, like, if they can
Or
put
like
a good narration,
cutscenes or something.
not necessarily
No,
cutscene, because cutscene
that takes more resources and stuff. But just somebody talking in the text that you would normally read.
Yeah, but maybe
Would it
you want
distract
to-
too much from the gameplay?
No, but I think, for example, in this game, because it's very simplistic and the music is kind of very simplistic as well at some point, which is good. Like in the Masterclass area, you could have someone read like 4 lines of text referring to that, and that's a very good point. You don't get, so you can divide between the personal facts like the letters, which
Yeah.
more and the objects, and then you can.
Exactly.
And then
And then,
you-
for example, when the chapter's done, you can go into all the facts all at once
Yeah.
and read everything about what you've gone through, and then go to the next chapter, for example.
Because
Pretty better in that way.
I really like the photographic archival material that
Yes.
they're using, but it would be cool if you would also find the photos as objects instead of.
Saltasar chips in again. He says, or he or she says that my MSc research pretty much showed up that many devs just lack the processes to include it into narrative or gameplay.
Lack the what?
Lack the processes. So as historians, archaeologists, we produce or archive documents. We don't archive the processes which went into their production or use.
No.
So at this juncture between how we tend to write history and how games operate as processes. Narration runs, he thinks or she thinks, into the same issue. It's a tell rather than a show. Games are more about showing or experiencing through interaction. That's true. That's very poignant here.
This is one of the things that we've been hearing about also with the video we saw with This War of Mine, about storytelling through games and how it can be much more engaging to different emotions than, say, regular storytelling. So maybe it needs to be exploited more to have that kind of, because now the story is kind of in these facts and in the occasional cutscenes, but you're not really playing the story, right? You're not doing anything in the specific battle. It's just sort of set there,
You're surviving.
like a stage.
Yeah,
You're not actually contributing in that chapter of history.
Yeah.
You're sort of just randomly tossed in it, and you're in it, but you're not doing it.
Yeah, which I guess in a sense that's good because it again focuses on the individual experience. Like, yes, I was a volunteer, but I ended up like in this mess, and I don't actually want to be. I don't care about where is the fight or who is fighting. I just want to survive.
Exactly, and yeah, exactly. And they get some freedom to tell interesting stories this way, I think.
Human stories as well. But if you're looking at the history or the archaeology behind it, that sort of, you only get that fed through you to things like this. It would be interesting if you would actually, through doing something, but I guess maybe it's too tricky to actually have an impact on how these events unfolded through your gameplay. Because
yeah, that's very difficult.
That's very difficult. That's of course a scary kind of thing.
Because if you make it a game really where you have to make decisions like are you going to follow an order or not follow an order. If you're confronted with a realistic backstory and realistic results, but at the same time in a realistic setting where you see that going forward is basically death, then what are you going to do? But they don't. Maybe it comes up a bit like that further in the game, but we don't know.
So far there are the only morale that is included is what's going on, like what the feelings that the game imposes on you. You don't actually have choices.
I don't really feel like I'm trying to survive, or if I were playing, for example, or that I am one of the people that is in the middle of the war that has nothing to do with the fighting itself and stuff like that. It doesn't really convey that to me, this game. I don't feel, for example, scared when those bombs fall or anything like that.
That's
There are video games where I'm like, oh, well, damn, if I was in that situation in real life, I'd be scared to death.
Should we move
I'm
on
missing
to the
that a
next
little.
game?
No,
Let's play a little bit more.
let's move on to the next game. So Sanders still has some and closing remark to make. He says it's not so much more about engaging, but a different type of engagement. Writing stories for games has player interaction and player engagement to take into account. This makes it harder to tell the story, and easier to tell a story which the player then co-authors in, or
Of course.
is authoring.
Yeah.
When we think about history, we have traditionally tried to write the story of the past, the way we present our museum displays, teach at schools, etc. It's a progression of facts which tells us what the past was. This is difficult fit with games, or how narrative can operate within games.
It's also kind of boring, I guess, because a lot of people actually know how, for instance, this war actually evolved, and if you're going to make a video game and you have to stick to the facts, then you can't really.
But that's the balance we talked about before. You have to make a video game that either appeals to the masses and appeals and teaches the maximum amount of people you can reach about the First World War, the Second World War, whatever. And then you have to go more graphic, more violent, or more action-packed, or whatever.
Yeah.
Or you can go for a very select group of people, kind of a niche group of people that want to know about these facts, and I want to know about these games, and then you end up with a bunch of people like us who play it.
But I don't think this is meant as a niche game.
No.
I don't think it'll reach the same amount of people as.
No, but that's like you cannot. I don't know if you can expect the exposure like of super well like AAA title.
Exactly, yeah.
That has like the advertisement and stuff. I don't think that's the point. Like that.
No, I mean it's a
I think-
Ubisoft game,
I
so
think
it's.
one of the main points with this game was to bring, because the World War One is much less known through games than World War Two. I mean, so many more games are set in the Second World War than the First World War, which we saw in the Zero Punctuation video as well. Because the Second World War is kind of easy, like there's good guys and there's bad guys, and this game tries to play with both sides a little.
Yeah.
To bring this game or this war through a game to people's attention, which people don't know as much about realistically.
It's interesting that there's so many more World War II games. I guess that the stories that you can tell in World War II are maybe more interesting in the sense of it's much more about individuals instead of World War One was basically it was not at all about
I think World
individuals.
War One is further removed in
about
time,
Nazis,
so it's less connected to ourselves. We don't have grandparents who remember, so that's one thing.
Yeah.
Second thing is it was a more boring war in the sense that less happened.
No, I'd
it was
love
this
to
trench
play
war.
like if it was a Call of Duty game, for example. I'd love to play a Call of Duty game in the setting of.
Yeah, but there wasn't much going on as
That's
in
the
the style
thing.
of the Call of Duty style, because they were just sitting in the trenches waiting
guess.
for each other
That's
to
the point.
move.
So Second World War was much more active in that sense.
I guess.
Plus, I guess, there's so much sort of really horrible things that happened with the whole Holocaust that wasn't an issue in the First World War.
And that doesn't
which
get
speaks
mentioned.
to imagination.
That doesn't get as much detail and attention in the Call of Duty games. Then that's
Well,
actually one of the points, one of the main things in that war, and it gets probably the least attention.
But movies.
Yeah, so Saltasar says that the other general criticism of history games is that they've stopped systematizing history instead adopting FPS mechanics and overlaying history as self-decoration. Of course,
Yeah.
that's really what's happening.
Yeah,
Actually,
absolutely,
It's
absolutely.
just an
Yeah.
aesthetic element.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, and that's also what I don't really like about this, that it is a stage, and then also the style is also chosen to be playful in a way. It's a comic.
It's
So
almost
for
like
me,
a comedy, yeah.
Yeah, for me that is where I don't have to. I actually really like reading about World War One and know quite. Actually, I know more or less all the facts that are popping up on our screen. But I don't really have the feeling that I'm playing a World War One game. Not at all.
So
I'm playing an adventure game, which is actually kind of like interesting.
Yeah. It's
But
a 2D
it's not, for me, it's not a World War One game.
So what do you think of like? So now we got a war game with mechanics that are not related to the war.
It's
So
like
we have
call
no
it a puzzle
shooting, we
game.
have nothing. Yeah.
Yeah.
So this kind of how fitting is this kind of gameplay
for archaeology.
No,
That would be
for a
interesting.
war. Yeah, for archaeology it might be different. But now we have a war setting, and we have so we have the card chase, which is like just moving around objects that are coming to you, and you have some button mashing, and you have some puzzle style. And how do you think that kind of gameplay relates well to a war game?
No.
I don't.
I don't think so.
I don't think so really.
No, me neither.
It feels kind of
Absolutely not.
strange because in a war setting,
Well,
you
it
don't
would-
really have the time.
depends. I mean, you
and so on
recently
to do.
played This War of Mine, right?
Yeah.
So I think that at least it's the same camera angles and things like that going on. It's not really an adventure game in that sense. Right?
No, it's more
No.
this War of Mine is purely survival because
No, so exactly, but I think that that's more, especially if you want to go for the personal stories.
Yeah.
That for me would be more interesting. And if you want to go for the battle sense, then FPS is in that sense.
yeah.
I think we should move on because we've spent more than 2 hours on these games. I think.
But it's so interesting.
I know, but maybe we can learn from this to limit our playthroughs to one game in
Yeah.
the future.
Yeah.
And perhaps we can open it up on our Facebook feed to get suggestions for the next game to play as well.
That we should definitely.
We are also learning to do stream besides
Sure.
history.
All right.
We're learning a lot of things today.
Let's switch games.
Learning has occurred. Okay, so we're switching games.